Here we go. Subaru man.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
This is it.
We're glad to have you in the pod, man.
I'm glad to be here.
You got a lot of stories to tell.
I've had a lot of experiences that because I'm aware and don't try to delude myself, and because I've been so delusional at times, I know the difference.
Right.
Fair enough. Let's dive into that. What do you mean by delusional at times?
Delusional is anything that takes you away from the now. Like if you're not present,
Mhm.
the only thing that's real is this moment. Everything else is a construct of your mind.
Really?
Well, if the three of us describe what happened 5 minutes ago
Yeah.
when we were here,
Mhm.
each one would have a different story. Slightly different.
Slightly, right.
Because it's
Okay.
not really controversial or
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Right.
But each one of those, that's their reality.
Okay.
But they're different. So which one is real?
But aren't
none
we
of-
aren't we all aren't we
That's
all
a good
perceiving
question,
the
man.
current reality differently as well?
We might interpret it differently,
Uh-huh.
but what we see and feel and hear is the same.
Okay.
What we choose to do with it is our own choice.
I see what you mean.
So a clown taught me, let's see the shirt. A clown taught me how to laugh.
Yeah, this was the only merch that I didn't come up with the slogan for.
Okay.
That my manager
Yeah.
in LA, like someone contacted me. I've been on TikTok for almost 3
That's
plus-
how I first saw you on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been on it for over 3 years.
Yeah.
I had an account over 1 million. They closed it.
Yeah.
I had an account at 960. They closed it. I can't,
They
so
keep
now
popping back.
And
Keep
why
coming
did
back.
they keep closing them?
I have a lot of people in Toronto who are haters, basically,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
mass complaining.
Yeah, I got you.
So because of the mass complaining, my account is now like super shadow banned.
Right.
Complaining just on the content that you
On
were
the
putting
content,
up?
yeah.
What type of, like, just like, what, you were just being a
I
little
take
bit
occasion.
controversial, I guess? Is that?
No, it's when I was basically stating facts about people in Toronto, and they got very upset.
Yeah,
Right.
people don't like hearing the truth.
No,
man.
they don't
People
like it,
yeah.
especially like lame little bitches.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's so funny that the
She's the
people who come
best.
after me,
Yeah.
like, they're just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That
like
is pretty crazy. So you got your account shut down twice.
No,
Multiple.
about 8 times.
Yeah.
8 times.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
And then the last time they shut down all my accounts, I said, oh, I'll go to Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But on Instagram, I kept reposting TikTok things with the logo.
Right. They
And now
don't
I
like
didn't have
that.
TikTok, so I started redoing it, and all of a sudden I'm getting 1 million.
So you're
2 million.
posting the same videos without the logo, and then it's going.
Or any video on.
Right.
Like, and Instagram, like, I was getting, like, consistently over 500,000. And now it's, like, down. I'm getting, like, 40, 30,000, which is, I mean, a year and a half ago, I got 10K, and I was, like, literally jumping. I thought, I made 10K,
Yeah.
10K, and now if I get something under 100, I go, what did you do wrong? And
yeah.
I realized it's the same thing as with money.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up really, really rich. I said, oh, I'm going to make it on my own. Well, it's not guaranteed to make it on your own.
Yeah.
But if you start off life with a doctorate in law, a JD,
Right.
and bar mitzvah money to buy a Porsche,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're 20, you look so successful that you can't fail,
Right.
Yeah.
right? So
You think
I thought-
that's an advantage or a disadvantage?
a disadvantage.
I
How so?
agree.
Um,
It doesn't build
I
character.
was so sheltered
Mhm.
that I'd never had any real challenges.
Mhm.
Mm.
You know, I had daddy's money and my uncle's gangsters. So I knew daddy didn't give a shit what was going on. He paid no attention to it. It was just make money, make more money. He died worth like over $100 million, but he never had a life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's why I understand so well that money is a meaningless construct of humanity that just causes negativity and problems. We now have advanced scientifically, but we haven't advanced our minds.
Mm.
So we're basically cavemen with like modern technology.
I see what
Facts.
you mean.
So cavemen with cell phones is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're cavemen with cell phones. And even worse, that we're poisoned by things like fake sugar,
Mm.
right? Like sugar, if you eat sugar cane or, because you see people working on sugar cane plantations, they don't have bellies that they trip over.
Right. Right.
But like what you're drinking now, Gatorade,
Yeah. The glucose.
it's not glucose.
Oh, it's not. What is it?
No, it's corn. It's
Corn syrup.
It's not even, it's corn syrup, close to corn syrup. But if you look at this rug, it's probably made out of corn too.
Mm.
You wouldn't eat it, would you?
No.
But it's corn as a food. And sugar that we eat is so processed. Like I forget what they call it. Like it's ultra processed.
Yeah. It's refined process. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's beyond processed. It's no longer food. It's just a chemical. And it's a chemical that totally messes up people's minds and brains and bodies and eyesight and everything.
Stu, why are big companies using corn syrup as opposed to regular sugar?
I would hope it's just because they're greedy idiots.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the United States, especially, when they start lunch programs for impoverished people in the inner city, what's their lunch? What's their breakfasts, the preschool breakfast? Sugar, and fake sugar. Ultra-processed wheat that basically, as you chew it, turns into sugar. But it's not real sugar. It's this fake sugar that just destroys your body because it causes insulin resistance, which causes obesity, which causes all... And insulin resistance, they're now saying, is the cause of Alzheimer's, right? Because insulin, like the sugar basically clogs the small capillaries and your eyesight goes, your fingers and toes especially, like diabetics lose their toes.
Stu, I was having that discussion with my brother the other day. Is it just the insulin and the sugar, or does it have anything to do with the cholesterol for dementia?
Cholesterol, I think cholesterol is meaningless. I think, like, my diet, it has always consisted of primarily like fatty meats because I'm always trying to gain weight, so I'm eating fatty stuff.
Yeah.
So the amount of cholesterol I consume is ridiculous.
Right.
But I always have normal or low or slightly low cholesterol levels,
Okay.
and it's sugar is the poison.
Right. I got you.
So to go back to, I guess, what we were talking about there in a second. So Aubrey had asked you, you believe it's a disadvantage to have grown up with some money, right? I agree with you because of primarily what you said. It doesn't pose any challenges or any hardships, right? So the way is kind of paved for you,
Yeah.
right? And then when you do face those challenges and hardships, you're kind of like, what do I do? And where do I go from here? So I guess what I'm trying to lead into is, one of the things that I guess happened in your career as a lawyer was you got disbarred.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what
Maybe let's
happened
talk
there?
about that for a bit.
Yeah.
Which time? No, the first time I wasn't
Let's do
disbarred.
this. Tell me what made you decide to become a lawyer in the first place?
Yeah, let's start at the beginning there, Stu.
Actually, I never wanted to. I wanted to be an actor, an entertainer, a musician, a poet, like an author.
Everything but a lawyer.
No, anything in arts.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to create stuff, and I don't know if I was good or bad, but I used to write stories in grade school, and
Right.
The teachers loved them, or some of the teachers just went crazy. Like I got in trouble one time because I was in grade 5, and I think it was grade 5, and my teacher, she was like fairly young. It was her first year, and she would read the stories in the staff room. So I'd write a story that you go down, and the staff were sitting around laughing at this. Like in grade 5, I was like 10, I think. Yeah. And I was born in November, and I'd write these stories, and they'd have like things like nudity in them. Like, what is it? And so the principal heard all the staff reading them, or her reading them, the staff laughing their heads off. And I would read them to the class like that. And so the principal got all upset, thinking I was like some psychotic pervert. Because the story was about going swimming. It had to be underwater swimming. So the octopus grabbed my bathing suit. I said it was a sheep. And so they thought, oh, this is so twisted. A kid thinking like this. And it's just, it's like childish humor that's become like almost the thing that is on the internet now. Like you look at people like Andrew Tate and people like him, and maybe I'm picking on him because he's like, to me, the definition of a loser.
You think so?
And he boasts about it.
Yeah.
He'll go online and say, oh, I can get a woman because I got a car. That's like big saying, oh, if I didn't have a Ferrari, women wouldn't like me. Well, you're really cool.
Right.
That's really a winner.
Right. I see what you mean.
Like, if you can buy something, someone else can buy it from you. If you earn something, nobody can take it away.
Right.
It's yours. So people rent things and they think they own them.
Yeah. So going back to that, Stu, when you were doing all those stories and being creative, how did that end up leading to law school?
So when I was finishing high school and I was in and then I got into university, I was 16 or 17 because I got my doctorate in law at 22. So I can't remember how, like I was just way too young. And I said, like, I'm too young. I want to go to Europe for a year. And, like spoiled rich. No. And then my uncle phoned me. He said, listen, if you get a law degree, I'll give you enough money. You can fly around the world, like getting high and partying with horrors for the rest of your life. And I didn't think that's what I want to do, but the endless supply of money sounded good. So I went and got a law degree, but he didn't keep his end of the bargain. But but I never, I didn't quite understand it because I went to school probably in 3 years of law school, maybe 50 days, if that, maybe 50 classes, not even
Okay.
50 days.
So how'd you pass?
Because a chimpanzee could pass.
Yeah.
I'm smarter than a chimp.
Right.
No, literally, they were open book.
Okay. The
I
test,
had
okay.
an older sister who was 2 years older than me, and her boyfriend, then husband, now ex, and he won the silver medal. All was good. So they do these outlines, and you were allowed. It was open book, so I skim through the outline the day before, and go in and write some nonsense, and get a B or C, or sometimes occasionally an A. But
Okay, so you passed.
I
And
passed.
then did you go into law straight away, or you traveled a bit?
No, I never got. He never kept his part of the bargain. So I said, okay. I was living with an actress, and I said, okay, I'm gonna.
You were living with an actress.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that like?
Oh, she was just starting out, but she did really fairly well in her life. Like I've
Yeah.
had some pretty incredible women in my life, like
Yeah.
women who've won, like who have accomplishments on the just beyond belief.
Okay.
Like mostly intellectual. Like people think, oh, I went over. Like I was attracted. Of course, I'm attracted to beautiful women, but it's the mind that I'm after.
Right.
Like 100%.
I got you. Okay, so you got your law degree.
I said, okay, I'm going to do this for a year, and then
What year was this? You did you graduate?
1982.
1982.
Were
Osgood?
you? Yeah, Osgood.
Okay. Before we were born, for sure.
Yeah, I know.
I was close. I was close. I
Yeah.
was around there. I was around, you know.
And so I started practicing. I said, I'm going to do this for a little while. And
Right.
it's just like, and I shared space with guys who just saw, hey, they said, you don't like this shit. Why don't we give you $2,000 a week as a draw, and you get 30% of what you bring in? I said, well, that's pretty good. This is like 1980.
30% of what you bring in terms of new clients?
Yeah, any work I bring in,
Okay.
they'll do the work.
Oh, so you were just bringing it in and passing it off to them. I
Yeah,
like that.
and I
like
get
that.
$2,000 a week as draw plus 30% of what I brought.
Okay.
Oh wow. Yeah,
But-
that's a great deal. In the 80s.
Especially at like,
yeah.
I'm 24 years old. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, this is like incredible. And then they ended up hiring a junior
Yeah.
because her husband owned a really significant corporation,
Okay.
and they wanted the work.
I see.
And, and they said, oh, you take her to court. Well, I wasn't going to court, so I just hang out with her, go out for lunch and stuff. And eventually, like, we fell in love. Like, it was totally unintentional.
While she was married?
Yeah.
All right.
And it's funny because he was like,
Who was she
Super
married to, though? Hold on. Let's go
The
back
guy,
a little
the
bit.
corporate owner guy.
Oh, so the owner of the place. She was
No,
married-
not the
she-
law firm.
the law firm hired her just to get the work.
Just to get the client.
Right. And so she was married to
That client. The
client.
The guy who owned
Oh,
another company. And then
got
Stu
you.
came in
And then Stu
swept
came
her off her
along
feet.
and
And it wasn't
Mr.
like
Steal
it
your
really
girlfriend.
wasn't intentional. Even it's funny, the actress,
Yeah.
she knew right away, long before I knew it. I don't know how, because I was out for lunch with my friends
Yeah.
and my girlfriend I was living with, my common law wife.
And you had a girlfriend too. You had the actress. We just
yeah. No, the
so-
actress I was living with. So I was out with
Oh,
her.
you were living
Okay.
with her, but you
Yeah.
weren't.
You weren't, like, dipping
with
it
her.
in.
Oh,
is
no,
what
no.
you're
We
saying.
were partners at the time.
yeah,
And
so
I
you
fell
were-
in love with the other woman.
Oh, okay, that happened.
So
I
essentially,
understand.
you were dipping it in with the actress, and then over here with the
Yeah.
client, and you were
And
dipping it
and
both
her
sides,
husband
both
was
ends
like
of the dips.
almost the opposite of me.
Okay.
Like, she was like 15th generation Canadian.
Okay.
Oh,
Like her
wow.
great grandfather
Yeah,
came
yeah.
over to boat with Clouseau
Yeah.
or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Cartier, wrong one.
Yeah.
And like, so really prestigious family. Like we're hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
And she had like the perfect life because she like everything she did, she won medals in, like gold medals in education. And she ended up like having incredibly prestigious positions after we left it.
Mhm.
And so we're out for lunch, and nothing had really happened yet.
Yeah.
Like we were hanging out, and my friend Mark said to my girlfriend at the time, he said, "Oh, who's that new lawyer? Gorgeous, because her name was Georgette." So
Yeah.
playing the word, and my girlfriend took a Coca-Cola. It was on the table, and threw it at my friend. I'm like, "What? Like what just happened there?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, somehow she sensed something that I didn't even sense.
Right.
You know.
Mhm.
Women sense things differently for sure.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
What type of law were you practicing when you were there?
Criminal.
Criminal. Okay, so you started in criminal.
I started in criminal. I did some personal injury
Yeah.
because personal injury was a joke.
So, Stu, when I was looking at those articles, from what I saw, a lot of them were criminal based. So, did you enjoy that area of law?
I liked the people.
You like the people?
They were like real.
Yeah.
They were more down to earth.
Yeah. I've always gotten along with all sorts of different cultures and different people and different
Yeah.
socioeconomic and cultural thing. Like, because if I have this water, like I want to taste something else. Like
Yeah.
I want to learn
You want to learn
from
different
life.
things.
Like
Exactly.
I believe the purpose of life is to experience things, to share them, like to learn and teach and love and
Mhm.
respect. And that's all it is. And if you get those things down, like you've won.
Right. Stu, are we able to talk about some of your more high profile cases?
Sure. But, if you know them, because I don't even remember any. I don't.
What the one I saw was something about your girlfriend at the time that you wrote a doctor's note. Tell me about that one, because that looked interesting.
Oh, it's crazy because 90% of the stuff I was convicted of, I didn't do. And the stuff I was acquitted of, I did do.
Right.
and you're laughing that as
but it's funny how life works that way. Eh?
no, that's how law works. I can
So
explain why.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, if a cop came in here
Yeah.
and one of us is dead,
Mhm.
how is he going to figure? And all three of us are saying nothing, and there's no other evidence.
Yeah.
Like there's a gun, there's a clean gun. He'll never convict
never
anyone.
convict
You know what they call that? You don't talk, you walk.
Yeah.
That's what they say
Yeah.
in the criminal
But
world.
what happens is they decide you did it,
Okay.
so they'll plant evidence to convict you. So when you're in it, so
Is that a real thing? They actually plant evidence.
if they believe you're guilty, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, even in my Brinks thing, they actually lied and got caught. It like they changed punctuation in a statement to
how
make
did
it
they
turn
not-
something out completely different.
how
And my
did they-
lawyer caught it
How did they not get caught planting these evidence?
because of the police.
So the police, who's going
They
to catch
get
them?
they get to that.
Because
to the crime
there's
scene
5
first.
of them who said they all saw the same
Yeah.
thing.
So
That's
Stu-
absurd. You don't think that's crazy, man?
Of course, it happens all
Of
the
course,
time.
but why it happens is, can they figure out what happened in here? They're
No,
not that
so they have to
smart.
make something up.
But if they make it up, if they decide you're guilty
Yeah.
and they create the evidence, you're going to get convicted. If they try to figure out, they're basically stupid,
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
just honest. They have
Well,
guns and they're
yeah.
powerful and have technology.
Well, and they're coming right out of high school. Let's be real here. There's no actual certification as far as like what are we talking here? They come out of high school, they go to
Well-
do some training camp, and then they become cops. Is that what
and
it
that's
is?
a really good point because
Yeah.
Toronto Police Services a few years ago said you have to have a university education.
Okay.
I think they've gone back on it because they can't get enough guys.
Yeah.
So all Toronto police were university educated, and the difference between them and like Peel region
Mm-hmm.
or York region or Durham region, where it's high school,
Yeah.
or not even high school, I think in some of them, like grade
GED for some
Yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
to be honest.
It's
Which
a
is
big difference?
It's the equivalent.
huge
right?
difference.
Okay.
Like huge difference. Not that much better, but a huge difference. Like the York region, Peel region, and Durham region, and it's not just me. Any lawyer in Toronto will say they're very close to the American system with
Mhm.
like massive amounts of racism, huge amounts of dishonesty and thievery. Like
No integrity whatsoever.
no integrity. Like for example, I don't think I've ever had a client arrested in Peel region that didn't have money missing. Didn't matter if it's a drug trafficking or an impaired driving.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I gave you a little background of kind of like my story and my situation, right? So being in prison with some of these guys, it was the same thing. They were always kind of talking about how like they'd walk in, they'd take their belongings, their wallet, their phone, their belts, their watches, and there was always something missing. There was
Yeah,
always something
But with
missing.
cash, they're just crazy.
Mhm.
But you don't see that happening to that extent
Mhm.
in Toronto. And in Toronto, they often get caught. But in York region and Peel region, it's just part of the thing that and I blame like it's top down problems.
Mhm.
Mhm.
For sure.
Like the guys on the street, sure, they're the scum who are doing it,
Mhm.
but they're allowed to do it, and it's a system. And like I've had cases in like Peel region where they're negotiating. The cops will say, "Okay, there's only 10 grand here,"
Mhm.
and the guy goes, "No, there's 40. Okay, how about 15?" And they'll get the guys to sign off on 15 just to get some of the money back.
Right.
Yeah.
And even a few years ago in Peel region,
Mhm.
there were a bunch of cops after work partying
Mhm.
in a park drinking, and some of the chicks had their tops off, and some university students came by and said, "What the fuck?" Because some of the guys were still in university, took pictures. They chased them, beat the shit out of them, charged them with assault, erased
Charged
the picture,
them with
charged
assault.
them with
Yeah.
assault, right?
Holy smokes.
And then they get the like you never delete anything on a phone,
Right, right.
Or they did, unless you wipe it 4 times.
Right.
So they got back the pictures, they got back some of the recordings,
And
and
then,
so the charges were withdrawn, and the police weren't disciplined. The chief of the police said, "Well, they've been told not to drink in public."
Stu, I got a question on that because I see in America when that does happen, a lot of times the victims, the people, they sue the police department. Is that applicable here?
Here, you can't win really against the system's rigged against you,
I
and,
agree,
and for
yeah.
like a semi-legitimate reason that police have to be able to do their jobs without worrying about being sued, which I don't like. I mean,
What's your take on crown prosecutors? You've gone up against some Crown prosecutors. These
Crown?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all just like,
What's your take on
why?
why? What would drive someone to wake up just one day and be like, I want to be a Crown prosecutor?
Okay, for example,
Yeah.
there's one guy I went to high school with, and everybody named David Fisher.
Fisher, yeah.
He was like, basically, it turned out he was a closeted gay guy, and he was just picked on because he was very effeminate, I think.
Okay. And he wants to get back at people?
And he was always picked on.
They're bad.
looked
They're
down.
bad people, man. These Crown prosecutors, they're like you can't be a good person at heart to do that job because your entire job is dependent on. And I get it. There's obviously like the basis of the job is to protect the public. I get it. I
That's
understand
not
it.
the basis of the job.
Well,
It's
is
to
it
maintain
not?
the status quo.
Okay,
Okay.
sure. A public perception, I guess. Then
Mhm.
optics. Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, it's like you are literally painting this guy. Like the situation, most of the time is already bad as it is. You know what I mean? Assuming the guy's done it, it's already bad as it is. Like, why do you need to take it to that next level? Like, it takes a special
Ego.
individual. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And especially like a Crown prosecutor maybe gets like at the top of his game now, like once he's pretty senior, maybe 250 right now.
Mhm.
But he can't write off his car. He can't write off meals. He can't write.
So what are they
a first year
clearing?
lawyer's making almost that,
Yeah.
I would think.
So you would think someone with a good amount of skill in that area would not go to the Crown side. They would.
Unless they really wanted to make a difference. And you have occasionally like some people who do that, but most are just really angry, bitter people.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Picked on people.
So Stu,
Interesting.
that case where you wrote a note.
I actually didn't do it. Okay, I'll tell you
Tell
the
me.
story.
Tell me.
So
I
it was
was-
the girlfriend with the note, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
the girl-
Let's hear.
So I had gone to rehab at Homewood in
Okay.
Guelph, and I think I got kicked out for a relationship with one of the nurses.
Oh shit.
Okay.
But that like when you're going through withdrawal and stuff,
Uh-huh.
you're really like vulnerable. So everybody's screwing everybody in rehab.
Okay.
Mm.
But I get blamed even though it's a nurse. Like I'm legally like she should go to jail.
Mhm.
If I was a woman, she'd be in jail. But because
Right.
I'm a
Agreed.
man and
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree that there's differences between men and women, obviously,
Mhm.
but it was just like I thought unfair. So then I ended up I think my ex-wife at the time or something. Somebody pulled bail, so I charged with some Mickey Mouse credit card thing. So I plead guilty. Nobody ever gets time, but the judge like sort of I don't know why, but I got 90 days, and he ordered immediate
90 days what in you were in Guelph, so 90 days where at
I ended up doing it at the dawn.
Oh,
Okay.
did you?
Yeah.
Oh, back then it was done. Eh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
And so, like, nobody gets for first offense time, and especially for something Mickey Mouse like that. But but he ordered immediate TAP. But they said, "Oh no, you're out on the Brinks job, so it's violence." But it was not a criminal. It wasn't a conviction. I was acquitted, so I should have got out. So by the time I got out, it was like 60 days in. So I ended up doing
Yeah.
the whole,
You-
which was a joke.
This was while you were a lawyer?
I was still a lawyer at the
Okay.
time.
So you did 60 of the 90 days.
Yeah.
Right? You got out.
I got out,
2/3.
and then I don't know how somebody phoned me, an ex-client, and I ended up over at some woman's house, and she had a pool, and I ended up moving in with her that. Like,
Some other woman, not the nurse.
no, I was already single at that time. I was
Yeah.
semi
Okay. So you
single.
moved. Is this the woman that you did the note for?
Yeah. So
Okay, let's hear it.
So it's funny. So I
And you were on bail the whole time on the Brinks thing at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point?
yeah.
Holy smoke.
Okay.
Okay, so hold on. Let's
Let's
back
see-
up a little bit though, because I'm trying to understand here. So you were so the Brinks thing happens, you get out on bail, then this chick comes along, and I guess you end up.
yeah, there was a few things in
this
between. I
nurse
had all
thing-
these credit card charges in between.
Mhm.
I
So
was
you
like
got a bunch-
spiraling down pretty quickly.
Okay, so you got a bunch of credit card charges, and then you get 90 days for what?
Yeah.
Fraud?
yeah, for
credit card- attempt fraud.
under.
Under. Okay.
Like, which nobody's ever gotten that before.
Yeah.
But I can't complain because I've gotten more breaks than anybody.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, so if they screw me every now and then, it's
Okay.
sort of like,
And you were out on bail when that happened. You did 60 of the 90, and then they didn't revoke your bail. They left you still on bail.
They didn't, because I don't think they could for a fraud.
Okay.
Right.
And then so I'm out, and this chick who's a junkie and a hooker
Yeah.
takes me by this house, and like,
What year was this? In the 80s?
this was in the 80s.
Okay, in the 80s.
That's why.
And
Okay,
so-
that's why it's making a
I
lot more
remember she
sense
said,
now.
"Can I kiss you?" And I thought she meant on the lips, and I ended up moving in with her the next day.
Okay.
Or that day, because
Yeah.
she had a home and a pool, and I
Yeah.
wasn't doing
She's a
anything.
successful hooker. Okay.
Yeah. No, her friend was an unsuccessful hooker, and she was sort of more of like a madam.
Okay.
Oh, an
madam.
escort.
An
An
e-
escort.
escort,
Those are
yeah.
the higher end. Those are the higher end. It's a higher end.
I wouldn't
Those are-
call her higher end.
Okay.
But,
But,
so you
and
move in
it's
with her.
really funny because as a lawyer and throughout my life, horrors have always been like drawn to me.
Really?
Why?
Why
I
do you
don't
think that
know.
is?
I think I honestly
Like a
think-
Are you
certain
looking
class
for
of-
a father figure? You think?
No, I think it's because I treat them with respect.
Okay.
Everybody else treats them like a piece of meat.
Right.
I just treat them like another person.
Right.
And so they get a,
They're not used to it, so they
Yeah.
see that.
Well, was it a specific class of prostitute or like because there's the upper echelon and we got the lowers, or was it with the $50 ones or the $1,000 ones? You know,
the ones I was living with in Vancouver were $1,000.
yeah, because there's levels to this.
This
you know
one
what I
was
mean?
like sort of like in between.
In between,
But her
yeah.
friend was like total street trash.
I
It was
see.
the one I knew.
Right.
Okay.
And then you wrote the note for her.
Well, let's see
No,
how we got there.
Then so I go, I gotta get. She's like a junkie and a crackhead. I go, look, this is not a good place to be.
Right.
so I'll go to rehab, even though I wasn't using.
Yeah.
So I go to rehab, and then I met a doctor there who was in rehab for.
He was in rehab himself.
He was in rehab. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Homewood is probably like 60% doctors,
Okay.
20% nurses, and 10%.
Is that where's Homewood outside of
Guelph.
Guelph?
It's
It's in
Guelph,
Guelph. Okay.
Okay.
It's
So you
well
meet a doctor in there?
Yeah. And we became like friendly. And then she was doing perk. I was running a perk organization with her. Like,
Okay.
back then, they just phoned the doctor's office. So I'd walk into a doctor's office and say, hi, I'm here to pick up Karen Douglas, or my wife.
Yeah.
I said, what? I said, is this Dr. Jones' office? I said, yeah. I go, oh, this is Dr. Brian Jones. I'm Dr. Matthew Jones. Can I use your phone for a second? I put it on call forwarding to my cell phone.
Okay.
I'd sit in a hotel room. My girlfriend would answer the phone and say, Dr. Jones' office.
Yeah.
And it would be a pharmacist. Did you write this script? Yeah, I did. Bye.
Okay.
And so I'd have a junkie running around, junkies from.
So just so I understand that, you would have the doctor's office confirm a prescription, and then
But I would be the one confirming it because I'd put it on
and your
call
girlfriend would
forwarding
answer.
to my
But
cell phone.
who would be calling them? The
the pharmacist.
oh, okay, the pharmacist.
So I'd send someone to the pharmacist and they'd say, this is 200, 300 perks. I go,
Right.
this is a pretty big prescription. I go,
Right.
where did you go to medical school? And they said, so you wrote it? I said, yes, click. And they'd
Okay.
always fill it. Because
Wow.
I was a rude dog. If it was a scammer, yeah, I did. But I was like, why are you wasting my time?
You were confident, yeah.
Well, what would a doctor do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my time talking to some goof,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
so,
yeah, that's
So
right.
you did that?
yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because I had about 5 or 6 people going into store after store after store at a driver. No one ever got caught. No script ever got turned down. And then they arrest me.
How?
Well, somebody obviously rolled,
Okay.
right? So I'm thinking, what the fuck? I get out the next day. Then they arrest me and like 80 more charges. I go, okay. They figure if they keep leaving charges, I'm not going to get bail. So I stand up in court. I said, my lawyer's not here, but I was a heroin addict, I did this and this. There's plenty more scripts and I'm really sorry. And just, well, since they don't even know about the other ones. And since you've been so honest, okay, I got to give you a conditional discharge.
Oh, wow.
But you better keep it. And then the police the next day arrest me with like 1,300 counts. I go, hey, this has been dealt with.
Yeah.
And they're saying, and the Crown's going, no, he was never charged with this. But the judge took it into consideration. And the judge said, get out of here. Like, so
Stu,
I played the system.
How long were you running that operation before someone rolled on you?
Probably about 6 months.
Okay.
I mean, I was living in the King Eddie Hotel in a suite because she had 2 kids. So like, it was pretty expensive. So,
Oh, okay.
and then I went back there this time. King Eddie seems to always come back.
I got it.
So okay, so you
You
were
had a good
living.
operation going.
Yeah, so for a bit, yeah, about 6 months, man. Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah, I mean,
you had the perk supply coming through.
yeah, and
strong.
it was like in the morning, but it was, even though I was making tons of money, we were living in a hotel, going out for 5-star meals. She was an alcoholic.
It was
Yeah.
you, your girlfriend, and a few other people?
We had like, no, I was living with my girlfriend and her 2 kids, and we had like 4 or 5 workers.
Okay, I got you.
So, and that's where the note came in with what you're saying that.
So he wrote the note for her,
Who's
like
he?
the doctor.
Oh, the doctor wrote the note. Okay.
And then the police go and tell you, you're going to go to jail. You weren't a doctor. Why'd you write the note? He didn't write it as a doctor. He just said, I know it. Right? So, but he panicked. He said, and they got him to say that I wrote it. But
What type of note was it?
a doctor saying she was, and even though it said put it off until she gives birth, so it wouldn't have been of
But
any
what was it? A
effect
sick
anyways.
note? What type of note?
Like a medical note.
Medical,
okay,
yeah,
I got you.
A type note signed by the
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah.
That's a very small thing to get arrested for, right? Or
Oh,
charged
but they
for.
just wanted me so badly.
Yeah.
And then what? You got disbarred for that?
No, I got nothing happened to that one.
So, what's this Brinks thing that we got?
Oh, the
going
Brinks
on?
robbery.
Yeah, man, you got to tell me about the Brinks robbery, man.
Yeah, that I did. See, I was acquitted.
Oh,
So,
I thought you were representing the guy who did it.
I represented him on an impaired.
Oh, on a different case.
Different.
Okay.
So you represented him on an impaired, but the Brinks
Yeah.
actually
Let's hear about that.
So he was someone I met through my practice, through some other people.
right.
And a client of mine, a friend of mine, who was basically my supplier, she was arrested and with a bunch of heroin, like,
Okay.
thinking hundreds of grams. So like she was in big trouble. Her supplier only had one customer, her. So he came to me and said, do you know someone who could move this shit? So
Yeah,
he was
unload
dropping
it.
off keys of heroin, which was like a pretty big amount back in that day. Even now, I mean, well, except that they don't have it. It's all synthetic stuff that kills people.
Yeah, no, it's fentanyl.
And so he was moving the heroin. I was like, I don't know why we did the Brinks job, because I was paying about less than $200 a key. And back then we were cutting it like 4-to-1, and he had one customer or two customers in out of town, and we were making like 10 or 20 grand a week between the two of us. So like,
Okay.
why commit crime? But it's like, when you're on heroin, you have no way of assessing anything because your emotional center or your empathy is shut down. You're basically, when you're using it, a psychopath because you don't feel anything.
Mhm.
Right? You're numb.
Right.
And so we ended, planning this Brinks robbery. And I had a client who was the body shop for the Toronto Porsche dealer, Downtown Fine Cars. And I had defended him, I think, 3 times on perjuries. So I figured, okay, he can't testify against anybody. So, and if the cops thought about it, like, this is how uneducated and stupid they are. If they thought, hey, it's pretty obvious why he picked him, I probably would have been convicted. But instead, they had this crazy theory or whatever that just made no sense, and they tried to frame me instead of investigate, which
Well, what was the accusation with the Brinks?
The accusation was that so the guy who provided the cars eventually rolled, but it had all fallen apart because there were 3 people involved, and one of them told their best friend that they had done it, and their best friend, to impress their girlfriend, said he was there. And it wasn't a very good girlfriend because she decided the $50,000 reward was worth more than the relationship.
So
Turned in someone who wasn't there.
yeah.
And then he spilled the beans on
No,
who
he
was
didn't.
there.
He didn't. But she knew that he was there with this other guy who actually was there.
Yeah.
And she knew the first names of 1 or 2 of the people.
Okay.
And so they ended up getting them because of this guy who told people he did it, who didn't. And
So-
while they're in, and even worse, and even then they didn't have enough, they would have all got off. But they're in jail and they sort of panic. And 2 guys were getting out of the pen, Collins Bay.
Yeah.
And they say, listen, go to my girlfriend. And they had conjugal visits. So he gave the girlfriend the directions and where the guns that were used were, with the Brinks gun, with all the evidence. He says, go get this shit. And the guys who just got out were going to do a copycat and drop something. So hold on, how did they do it if they were in jail?
Right.
And they would have got off. But if they did nothing, they would have got off. But the 2 guys who do it are crackheads who just got out of jail, and they rob a bank or they rob something, and they get caught and they rat. So then they rat on the girlfriend and the 4 guys, even though there were only 3.
So then it goes right back to you, I guess, and that's how
And
you
then,
got.
and then they go to the guy who supplied the cars and say, we got these guys.
So hold on, Stu. Explain it to me like I'm retarded. You got the truck, and then what? You picked up cash from the bank?
No. They robbed the truck.
They robbed the truck. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you mean they supplied the cars? What are you talking
They needed getaway cars and
about?
vehicles to do it
getaway
high,
cars. I thought you
high.
were talking about Brinks. Okay.
And then
Yeah,
that's
I
where,
supplied
and,
the
and then
vehicles,
that's
more
where
or
that's where the guy
How
that
did
he
that-
represented on
I got you.
perjury comes in.
So
Yeah.
how did the robbery go down?
The robbery went down is they went 1 week and the Brinks truck comes in the wrong way. And so they had walkie-talkies, didn't have cell phones in, and they go red or whatever the code word to cancel it was. They go back the next day. Again, it's, the car is in the right place. So they go to cancel it, but guys wearing a trench coat. It goes like it's red. The guard sees like a shotgun or a gun.
Yeah.
He shoots him.
The guard shoots.
Shoots the guy because he sees he has a gun.
Right.
Right.
He's about to shoot him again. And the guy who I knew, who was my friend, who shot the guard who was about to shoot his friend, it was an elephant slug in a shotgun. Even though the guy had a vest, stopped his heart, he died instantly.
The
guard.
The guard, yeah.
The guard.
And then his buddy was now on the ground, shot already.
Yeah, in the arm.
Not
They
the
get
guard's
away with
buddy.
him.
Yeah.
Stu's buddy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Stu's buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the guy was shot.
Okay.
Like, I think I met him that day.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And they didn't rob the truck, or were they still?
They got 1 bag from they got the
Yeah,
bag. The
because
guy was paying
the guy had
$185,000.
the guy had a bullet in his arm, right? He was bleeding because he just got shot by the guard. Right?
Yeah, the other guy grabbed the bag. They got in the cars.
Okay.
They got away.
Yeah.
And how long from that point till the time where someone got arrested?
robbery was in December. I think February they got arrested. So 2-3 months.
And what did the guy with the shot arm do? Did he go to the hospital? He can't go to the hospital.
No, he drove to and then I had another crazy client who in Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Who's a
And he
doctor?
knew some guy who was supposed to be a doctor, but I don't think he was. And he
And
just like
stitched him up.
yeah, and took out the bullet and stitched him up. But then later, when he was arrested, the pieces of the bullet were still there.
Oh shit.
Like he did.
Holy
He was like
shit.
just an old. Either he lost his license or he was a vet or something. But he knew the junkies
Right.
who was distributing the heroin in Vancouver.
Okay.
In
And
Niagara Falls.
were you charged in relation to that case or no?
I was charged. Yeah, I was charged with the.
And what was your charge? What did they charge you
I
with?
was charged conspiracy to commit armed robbery and obstruct police.
You get
Okay.
more time
Because
for
the
that
police-
than actually doing it, man. Conspiracy, that's a bad one, man.
And like it was pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to jail for that one?
No,
or-
I won.
Oh,
I
you
was
won.
acquitted.
Yeah, he was
Ah,
acquitted. Yeah,
oh,
he was
amazing.
acquitted, though.
Wait,
And even
How much time are we looking at with that for conspiracy to commit? That's probably like at
the
least
least
15,
anybody
20.
got was 13.
I was about to say, those are high numbers because I know with
Yeah.
conspiracy, they take that serious stuff
Yeah.
like premeditation.
And especially as a lawyer, and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
As a criminal lawyer, do you ever represent yourself, or you never? you
no,
don't?
I mean you can, but it would be pretty foolish. Like I had Eddie Greenspan. I don't know if you.
I do know
him.
Greenspan. I know there's Brian Greenspan too.
Yeah, Brian's
yeah.
his younger brother.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
He's good.
Yeah,
The
Eddie was.
Greenspans, yeah. the Greenspans,
Eddie's
yeah.
now passed away, but he was like an absolute superstar.
Yeah.
So you got acquitted on that one.
Yeah.
And what was your next thing?
Well, that sort of did it for crime for a while. I went back to practicing law.
Were you able to, with all of these times that you've been charged,
Well,
they
yeah,
didn't
what
try
took
to
the-
disbarb you?
well-
So as
Well,
long as
because
you didn't
I-
get convicted,
How?
like, how does
Tell
that
us.
you
work?
don't get convicted.
As long as you don't get convicted. That's
Really? So even if you just get charged and withdrawn, as long as you're not convicted.
good. Charges
Yeah.
are charges.
Well, because
It's
you're not
accusation.
guilty, why could they? How
Yeah,
could they take your license
You're
away?
not guilty.
What about when the charges get stayed? That technically doesn't mean you're not guilty. It just means that didn't have enough evidence. They leave the case open for a year to see if maybe in a year they can.
State
back.
that you'd probably win too. Like they can't. You don't have to be convicted. Like they could have, because the level of the loss is totally different than the courts.
But you did get convicted on those credit card fraudulent.
Yeah,
That
things,
was
right?
back in the day. That
And
was
that's
before.
what. So is that what did the
no,
disbarment?
no. Because I wasn't disbarred.
Mhm.
Like I won my Law Society hearing.
Okay.
The Law Society appealed, and the judgment was: look, there's never been a lawyer before who had any addiction, alcohol, gambling, drugs, who didn't steal. So we have to give him some credit for the fact that he didn't take a penny from trust funds.
Right.
Right.
Like,
Right.
even though he did all this, like,
Yeah.
because nobody's ever not done that before.
Okay.
Right.
And I had like really good people like come and testify about how I was a
Right.
great lawyer and a nice guy and shit like that.
And that was why you weren't disbarred.
That's why I wasn't.
And they appealed after that, or that was the
They
appeal?
appealed and lost.
Okay.
And then, but they always held a grudge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then much later, it's a long story, but someone who got out of jail came to, and someone phoned me. I never met the person. And somebody who also I never met who had done time with a woman I know's brother.
Okay.
And we just, like, he'd phone me for advice and stuff now and then. He said, listen, this guy's getting out of jail. He's a really good guy who just fucked up. He won an appeal. If I get him out to Toronto, can you, like, sort of guide him and keep him out of trouble?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And so he came out here, and he got into the jewelry business and was doing really well, and sort of turned his life around, but got back into the cocaine game,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
robbed a guy or stole a couple hundred keys, which is like at the
A
time
couple of
205 keys.
205 keys of cocaine is what he stole.
What's the value?
Oh my
About,
goodness!
about 5 or
well,
7 million at the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It was
'cause
going for about
it's-
40 a key at that
Yeah,
point.
right now it's for probably about 35.
Okay.
No,
So
now it's like 16 to 18.
that here in Toronto, 16 to 18 a key. Oh, that's really
Yeah,
cheap.
it's just-
That's probably cut up, man. I don't know about that,
no,
man.
there's no, they can't sell. No, what's happened is like over COVID, they just somehow,
Well, I know at COVID it went up at one point.
yeah,
I
but
think,
now it's gone.
what
What
was it?
happened was in the States,
Mhm.
the Mexicans said, we don't need any middlemen,
Mhm.
like the cartels. So they
Yeah.
came in and they said, like they basically took over the gangs and said, no, you're working for us or you're not working.
Well, yeah, those.
And they killed like hundreds of Crips and hundreds of Bloods.
Yeah.
And they made peace with them, but they're basically employees. So
Yeah.
it goes from, there's no middleman. It goes from import
Yeah.
to the street.
Mm.
So even though, like, I know people in the industry, the wholesale prices have fallen from like 40 to 16 to 18,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but the street prices haven't even moved. So
Mm.
people on the street are just like getting like ridiculously wealthy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they're
yeah.
working directly with the distributor. Like, so there's
Right.
no, like, they
Yeah,
just,
you're directly working with the wholesaler, right? Because what happened was back in the 80s, in your time, I guess the
oh, yeah,
Colombians
there
were
was
controlling the
everybody.
market.
But
And then
not
the
really, 'cause
Mexicans were the transportation. They were the roots. But now the Mexicans control everything and they have the Colombians under control now.
especially like, because they control the states.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a big market, huge market. So, okay, so 205 keys. Yeah, we got
so
touch right there. So
So
205
so-
keys.
205 keys.
That's
And so-
that's insane, man.
He had got it through somebody who knew the distributor, like the importer, like a Colombian guy.
Yeah.
And there was a sit down, and like they were pretty sure he stole it. He was saying he was robbed, but it was so obvious that he wasn't. And so the guy who owned it said, "Okay, we'll continue to." The middleman, the common friend
Yeah.
who introduced him, they worked out. They were gonna add on so much a key until they paid it back.
They worked it out for 205
Well, because he
keys,
was
man. He's
robbed
lucky
and
his
it's
whole
got-
family's not fucking like below ground. Are
Well,
you crazy?
but this is what happened. So this guy then phoned the guy who did the robbery with, pretended to be the mutual friend,
Mhm.
and say, "Hey, let's go for a steak. Meet you at this hotel." He got there. He said, "Oh, buddy's up in the hotel room," and goes in the hotel room, and someone else was hiding behind the door. Shot him in the back of the head because they think we start spending this money, Buddy's going to realize we weren't robbed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so they didn't do enough research. He didn't realize that he had a brother, and the brother basically had my friend and the co-killer,
Yeah.
the shooter, murdered.
Good.
And it was strange because I was down in I think I was somewhere with my kids and my ex over Christmas,
Yeah.
and it was my friend's, the guy who stole the cokes, engagement party, and I was away, and so I wasn't there. So I phoned him in Vancouver and said, because he was going to fly out tickets for me, for my ex, because
Mhm.
he was fucking loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just stole like $7 million.
Yeah.
And I didn't go. And then I phoned him and I phoned him and say, "Hey, congratulations, whatever," because I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I hang up. I'm walking on the beach. My other friend who knew him calls me and says, "Ricardo was just killed." I said, "What are you talking about? He just got off the phone with him."
Yeah.
He said, "It's all over the news. He was just shot," because it was a major shooting. It was like,
What year was this?
this was 2008, I think.
Okay. Do you remember which city it was in?
Vancouver.
Okay.
I think it was Sparks Steakhouse or something, like the fanciest steakhouse. So he was getting out of the car with his girlfriend and someone else in the back, and they shot him, and the guy in the back got killed too.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And yeah, so I checked, so I talked to him. I was like the last person he spoke to,
Yeah.
which was sort of
That's crazy.
yeah.
And you were still a lawyer at that time.
I still a lawyer.
Okay.
at that
So
time.
what was the next thing that led?
Okay,
after?
so I didn't respond to I was like, I didn't quite realize it at the time, but it sort of triggered some of the shit that happened when my brother killed himself. Like the emotions, because it was like a little brother, I was supposed to protect him, and he got killed. I felt like it just sort of set off all this stuff. And I got some letters that I didn't respond to from the Law Society. And so I was disbarred for not responding to correspondence, for
And
being unmanageable.
Yeah. And you can't reverse that?
Unmanageable is one thing you can't, like, you can steal, like, there's rapists, murderers, drug dealers, they all can have a chance. But ungovernable means that you can't be governed. So that's the one thing you can't come back for. And that's why they did that. But at the time, I thought, like,
Wait. So if you are a drug dealer and you get convicted of it, and you're saying that you can't get this, like
You can get this.
you can get disbarred, but you can appeal, and you can later come back and say, "I've
You're
changed
saying
my
one
life."
thing you can't appeal is
you can,
ungovernable.
like 5 years later or 10 years later, because look, I've changed my life around. And you'll come back, and people
and sex
have.
offenders can do that too.
They have.
Really?
I don't know if they were successful, but they can apply.
They can at least apply.
But being ungovernable
you can't even
means
apply.
it's like you're just not going to follow the rules, and it's pretty hard to say that I'm governable. Like I
Right.
couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Yeah. Did you at least get a trial or no?
Yeah, but it was just like I don't think any professional body should self-discipline, because it's just a way to protect bad people. Like you make the sacrificial lambs of the people you don't like, who don't play by the rules, but the bad people you're protecting. Because
Right.
why can't it be outside? Why can't the courts decide? Why do you have to have, lawyers, doctors, all of them? It just doesn't work because it becomes political. More and more, all legal stuff has politics to some degree involved, but when it's self-governing, it's totally political.
Okay. So what else besides your law career do you think? Because you said your life is like a movie, right? So what else besides law?
Well, I mean,
comes
I
to
was
mind?
into like I was selling heroin by the key. I was
This was after you got to. So what did?
no,
What
this
did
was
you do?
before. This
Oh,
was when I was a heroin addict.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're a recovered addict?
Yeah,
Okay. How long have you been clean for?
like 30 something years.
30 something years, man. How old are you, Stu, man?
I'm 64.
He doesn't look it. Eh? He doesn't look it.
That's crazy. So you're 64. So you've been clean for last time.
Since
it
I've been
was
like my
in
early
your
30s, like
30.
34, 35 something.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what have you been getting into since you left the law career?
Well, nothing real. Like I'm trying to get things going. Like as my law career left,
Mhm.
my relationship broke down,
Mhm.
and my ex ended up having a relationship with her Chinese billionaire. She's Chinese, and he was a Chinese billionaire with a billion RMB, which is like 200 and something million American, like three.
Mhm.
And they, according to her, and I believe this, they're not blood relatives because it's a stepmother or something,
Mhm.
but they grew up together as first cousins.
Right.
They apparently fell in love. Well, they did. They had a okay. I think it was her first love.
This
I
was
didn't know
your
about
ex?
this.
This was your ex?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mother of my
Oh,
children.
Oh, the mother of your children. How many kids you guys do?
2.
Yeah, two, and with the same woman.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
Okay.
mother of your children, who's Jewish.
No,
No,
she's not Jewish.
She's not Jewish.
She's Chinese.
Oh, she's Chinese. Oh, but you're Jewish.
I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna circle back to that because I had a couple questions. Because he didn't believe. I was trying to explain some stuff to him, that I grew up believing, but apparently it's not true. So we'll circle back to it. But so your wife is Chinese,
Yeah.
okay? And so now it's her first cousin that she grew up with, who she's alleging there's no familial, I guess, connection to.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
like
it's irrelevant.
essentially
We were married at the time. But,
Right.
right.
But when she was in China,
Yeah.
like I didn't know this until after, she came to Canada because she was married and got pregnant while her husband was away or she was away on business for like 3 months, comes back pregnant. So it couldn't have been his. It was her first cousins who ended up, I think, raising the kid. She's never told me the whole story,
Right.
so I've got bits and
Bits
pieces.
and pieces.
Partly was after everything happened, she had all these letters because we shared a computer. So I used Google Translate. I'm going, what the fuck?
So
You know,
so you're typing it up on Google. How did you even type it up on Google Translate?
Just
You
copy and
can't.
paste.
her
Copy and paste.
diary.
Right, but it was on a piece
Oh,
of
it was on a piece of paper?
No,
Yeah.
Oh,
it
email.
was on the computer.
Oh,
Okay.
so just copy
Copy
paste.
and
Yeah, okay.
And
How do you type that on the computer? Like, because we have the keyboards with letters. They don't have that.
No,
They
no.
got the
So if you
symbols.
have Chinese letters, you just highlight, copy, and paste into Google Translate.
Yeah, but no,
I
but
get
you can
that,
no,
but
no,
I'm
no,
saying,
no.
how does she get it on the?
Oh, you can type in
Oh, yeah,
Chinese.
you
You can type
can-
in any
I
language
don't
you
know,
want.
you
You
can
can type
type
in
in-
Hebrew. You can type in
Yeah, but what does the
Cyrillic.
keyboard? What does the keyboard look like?
They just get a new keyboard.
So if I go to China and I go buy a laptop, like what's the keyboard look
It'll
like?
have Chinese letters.
Really?
I don't know if it does, or they just know where to type.
I
I never
don't know.
looked at it carefully
Yeah.
enough.
sure
That's
they-
actually
But
a
they
good
type
question,
in
eh?
Chinese. They type in Chinese.
Yeah, that's a good question though. We got.
Oh no! Because it's so complicated, I think a lot of they use script.
Okay.
They sort of write it and it types.
But
Yeah.
it was easy for you because it was already up there.
Yeah, it was already up there, so I type it. Like, huh?
Yeah.
And then I think, I should have known that. Like
Yeah.
as I'm reading, I'm going, what the?
And at this point, you already had kids with for both of them.
Yeah. Oh, they were like already almost teens.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So what came of it?
happened?
Yeah, what happened? What's going on here? What happened with the Chinese
I
billionaire?
didn't know what happened. So we come back from China. We went there for a month. I said, and I didn't know because she left China because her having an affair and having a child out of wedlock back then, or from another man,
Mhm.
back then was the equivalent of your like great grandmother or my grandmother in Russia or Poland or where are you from?
Colombia.
Colombia. Okay,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
grandmother. What
Yeah.
would happen in that generation or your great grandmother? Like
Yeah.
she'd be ostracized.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
So, according to her diary, she'd walk down the street in her hometown. People would literally spit on her and call her a whore.
Oh wow.
So, she did what any rational person would do. Went to her yearbook or whatever, found a guy who was in Canada, who she was in the orchestra, wrote and professed her love, had a email relationship, then
And
a
that
phone
was you?
relationship, and he sponsored her, and she came to Canada.
And that was not you.
No, that wasn't me. It was a
okay.
Chinese dude
Yeah.
who she went to university with in China.
And that's who the guy she married is.
No. Oh yeah, she married him in Canada. He
But she was
sponsored her.
already pregnant when
No,
she got
she was
sponsored.
married in China.
Yeah.
gets pregnant with another guy.
With another guy.
And then gets
She
sponsored.
gets divorced.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Before she gets divorced, at some point she's getting spat on the street, or
Yeah,
was that after
and
divorce?
at the same time, she's getting spat on.
Right, and then she professes her love for another Chinese guy who was
In
living
Canada.
in Canada. So a
And he
Chinese
sponsors
Canadian.
her.
He
Yeah.
sponsors her, but she's already got a belly. She's pregnant now.
No, she already had the kid.
Oh, she already
Oh,
had
she
the kid?
had the kid.
Sponsors her and the daughter.
and left it behind.
I left the kid
Oh,
behind.
no.
With the
Really?
father.
Jesus
Okay,
Christ,
with
man.
No, but
Okay.
you know, I sort
With
of
the
thought,
father who's the first cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bro.
And then
What?
And I didn't know why his wife didn't like my ex. I'm thinking like, because I saw this politics, but I didn't speak the language.
Stu, did you learn all this after you married her?
Oh, after no, this
Wait,
was
but how
I
did you
learned
even-
this at separation.
But
Oh,
how
shit.
did you even marry her? Because she got sponsored by this Chinese Canadian
She
dude. That's not
divorced
you.
him.
Divorced
So
him.
she divorced him while she was here. Did she have kids with him?
No,
Okay, and then
she
that's
came here
what-
just to get her. I mean, to save herself. I wouldn't
Right.
say to get status.
Right.
She was in a place where she couldn't survive.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, could
Yeah.
you imagine? Like,
Yeah, that's terrible.
Trying to
Yeah,
survive.
no,
So
for
she
sure.
gets here, she divorces that guy.
And then she meets you.
no, she was married to another guy. Had an affair with some other guy.
Jesus, man.
Then she met me, and
There
I didn't
seems
even
to be
know.
a pattern here. What's going on here?
I didn't even know about and what happened was I decided after I'd been all through this shit to go. I'd been to Thailand before once.
Mhm.
I liked the way people live there, and I liked the Buddhist philosophy.
Right.
Is it nice over there? I've never been over there.
It was amazing.
Really?
The most amazing. Like I've been all sorts of places all over the world, and nothing was
Comparable.
comparable in that it was so different than everything else.
Okay.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay.
I thought, like my beliefs in Buddhism are somewhat similar. I thought, you know what? I'll go and spend and there, everybody after high school, instead of in Israel, they spent a year in the army.
Right.
They spent a year in a Buddhist as a monk.
You know what? I've
Mandatory?
seen that.
Or
No,
just a cultural thing?
I've seen
Cultural
that.
thing, yeah.
I've seen that. I don't know if you watch a show. It's called 90 Day Fiance. It's actually quite an educational show. It's a lot of different
I
cultures.
know it
right?
because the woman who is one of the producers for it
Yeah.
contacted me on live because there's this chick who was in love with me. It was just crazy.
Yeah,
Online,
you, got to, what, you didn't get a K1 visa for her, man. That you get on the show, man. You know
Stu,
how
how
much?
many girls are in love with you here
Yeah,
from
yeah,
your
what's
TikTok?
I think they're all in love with her.
So on 90 Day Fiance, one of the couples. So it's so the show
No,
pretty
the
much
producer wanted me to be on with one of these women,
right.
Oh, okay.
and
Did
she
they know
was-
you were Canadian?
They knew I was Canadian, but
Yeah.
it was British, and she was saying they didn't know if they could do it because you have to be an American.
Right.
So then this crazy, a real whack job
Yeah.
comes on one of my lives, and and the woman from 90 Day Fiance says she's perfect, like she's fucking a lunatic, she's drunk on all the live slurring,
Yeah.
she and so I asked her, and she said, yeah, I'll do it, and then I said, hold on, this person might think this is real. I don't want someone to get off.
Yeah.
And so I messaged her, or I
Yeah.
called her. I said, listen, this is art.
Yeah.
We don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, you're a cool person, but
Yeah.
we're never going to have a
Yeah,
relationship.
it's,
And she's just
it's all fabricated. Yeah,
Yeah.
What happened then?
she went fucking nuts. She started making like hundreds of websites. Stuart Rosenthal's a pervert. Stuart, and she'd come on my lives and say shit.
Wow.
And I said, and I was explaining how we could make a movie because I have these directors who I met through this. I said, I don't want to produce it. We'll finance it ourselves, and this is how we'll do it. And I said, we'll do an NFT, but it'll be, instead of NFTs that are total scams, we'll legitimize it where it costs $100,000 to make the movie. There's 100,000 coins. For $1, you get one coin.
Yeah.
Or for a penny, you get a coin, and there's 1,000,000 coins. But that coin, you have like half the movie is owned by the investors. And if somebody knows Kanye West, he could revolutionize the music industry. Because why do you need studios to finance them, right?
Yeah.
But your fans. So every year is putting hundreds, millions, tens of millions of dollars into NFTs, which is a hyperlink to an image on a computer. It's worthless. It's like a joke.
Yeah.
But if you actually
It's a joke.
owned, well, it is a joke.
Yeah.
Because as someone who has NFT Bay,
Yeah.
every single NFT out there you can get for free.
Right.
Like, so what's the value of it?
Mhm.
Oh, you legitimately own it. You own a link to go and see a picture on NFTs are a total scam.
Right.
Yeah.
Like all
but
it
you
is.
were trying to do that with that lunatic woman?
No, I said, why don't we do this? I got the movie people. We'll issue an NFT, but people actually own the movie, so it's
Yeah.
not a scam.
Right.
And she said, and she actually has the text conversations while I'm explaining how it's legit, saying, look, he wants to do a scam. And I was thinking so, and she did all these things, and then,
So going back to hold on. So we never even finished. So she
So she
divorced
wouldn't
the
do it if
Chinese
it was-
Canadian guy, right?
yeah.
And then
No,
the
a Chinese guy who immigrated to Canada.
right, but he was Chinese Canadian because
Yeah.
he was a citizen, right? So then she divorces him, finds another guy.
No,
has
she
an
never
affair.
divorced it. She had a relationship with another guy while she was still married.
Okay,
She meets me,
yeah.
has a relationship with me, and dumps the other
So
guy.
you were the third
and marries
boyf-
me.
Oh, got you. Okay, so you
Or
were the third.
divorces him. We never got married,
Oh, okay.
which
And
was a mistake. She was saying, let's get married, let's get married. I said, cool, then at least I have assets. She said, what do you mean? I said, I put everything in your name. And she stopped pressuring me. I thought, she realized all this shit's hers,
Yeah.
right? And then so when we split up, everything was in her name.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the businesses I did, like I got
At the
into
time, you didn't have equal rights. You couldn't get half of her
you
shit.
still don't,
So you can't get half of her shit.
No, unless
No.
you're married. No.
unless you're married.
Oh, that's right. You weren't married. Oh
Yeah.
man.
And she never worked.
No common law. You lived together for 6
No, no,
months.
Not in Ontario. In
Oh.
BC, in all the provinces are starting to do it.
Yeah.
In Ontario, nothing.
No, it's got to. No, I think it's 2 years or a year.
Yeah,
no?
even
Common law
common
for
law, but-
support and support for child support. Oh no, child support as soon as they're born,
Right.
and actual support if you've
Like what's it called?
Income.
But you don't get their assets.
you don't get
Alimony.
assets, only
Alimony.
income. Yeah, alimony, but she has no source of income. She hasn't worked in 20 years.
Right. Right.
I was the sole source of income.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So,
so you guys got together. You had 2 kids, and then what happened? You just, it
and
just didn't work out.
15, 16 years later, she had her affair with her first cousin. And the reason we went back, as I said, because I didn't know the history, I said, you know, your mother and stepmother have never met their grandchildren.
Mm.
They're like, one was like 75 and ill, and the other was like 60 and healthy. But I said, don't. And so we went for a month to China. I didn't know why she didn't want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Is because
That's,
how she left,
Yeah.
Right.
right? She was afraid to go back.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know. And
Is
she
that
had-
when you found out when you went?
No, I didn't find out. It's funny. The first day they were there, she said, "Oh, I'm going to go for. I haven't spoken to my cousin. I go out for him. Well, will you take care of the kids?" I said, "Sure." So the kids are sort of tired because jet like 12-hour flight. And then she comes back and she said, and this should have said it right. See, everybody thought I had an affair with my cousin. I never had an affair with my cousin. I thought, why did you say? And I didn't think, what a bizarre thing
Yeah.
to
What
say.
a bizarre thing to randomly say.
Yeah.
Like, and
Maybe she's
obviously,
preparing you.
no, it's like it's on her mind. Will you know?
Yeah.
Right. And then we get back and she's saying, oh, she's pretending like she was going through.
So was she still sleeping with the cousin while you guys were in China and you were at home taking care of the kids?
Well, we were staying in a hotel, but yeah.
Okay, so she was still sleeping with the cousin.
Well, she
all
hadn't slept
these
with him.
years.
She hadn't seen him in 20 years or something.
So she reconnected
Oh,
with
She
him, the same guy.
reconnected with him. Okay.
And he's a
That's-
billionaire now.
Chinese billionaire.
Yeah.
And now she's in China.
Billionaire.
No. Because the kids were here. So we came back, and I didn't know any of this had happened. But I noticed she's sort of very distant and stuff. And she said, oh, it's menopause. You know,
Yeah,
and she's
yeah.
laying on the couch crying all damn thing. What? And I'm being really
The
she's
supportive.
going
yeah.
through some mental health
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah.
She's just laying on the couch crying all day.
Yeah.
What it was she wanted to get with the cousin. The cousin
Didn't.
sort of said to her, because I found the text later. He said, hey, like, no. She said, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was fun, but no, I'm not going to go.
And
with
what
you."
about the kid? Where's the kid now? Because she had a kid with this cousin that she
the
had
cousin
left behind,
raised
right?
him. The cousin raised him with his
So
wife.
when you went back to China, right?
I
did
met
you
him.
meet the kid?
I met the kid, and I
Holy
didn't even
fuck,
realize.
buddy. So you met the kid. You know the kid I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
right? She
Yeah,
had the
and
kid,
it was her nephew.
And you didn't realize till
Well,
after.
technically,
I don't know if he knows.
Her nephew or her son?
No,
It
would
was
be,
her son, but
it was-
introduced as her nephew.
Oh, introduced as her name. Oh my
smokes,
Right?
goodness.
man, yeah.
And he, you know, and I never, like now I look at it, I go, yeah, he looks not exactly like her, but he looks an awfully lot like
Yeah.
her. But,
yeah.
you know, I'm white. All Chinese people look the same.
Yeah. So circling.
I couldn't even tell my kids apart. They're only half Chinese. One's a girl and one's a guy.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny, Stu.
So circling back a little bit to some of this cultural stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
so I was talking to Aubrey, what was it, a couple weeks ago? So
Yeah.
true or not true here, Stu? Is it true that Orthodox Jewish people use a sheet when they have
I'm
sex?
not Orthodox, but I think that's absolute nonsense.
That's what I told him. And he's like, no.
Yeah, have you heard of this before, though? Have you
I've
heard
heard
of
the
the sheet
story,
thing?
but it's
Have
utter
you heard
bullshit.
about
Yeah,
the
it's utter
sheet?
bullshit.
Okay, but you've heard
Hey,
about the sheet, though.
Orthodox Jews are even allowed to have oral sex.
They are?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see
I've
why
heard
not.
I
rabbis
don't know.
talk
What do you
about
mean they are? You just said they are. What do
Well, I
you
don't
mean?
see why not.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, actually,
both
there's-
ways, both ways. So the guy can go down to the girl and vice
Yeah.
versa. Really?
And there's a book called Kosher Sex, written by an Orthodox rabbi, and I saw him on some talk show.
Oh,
one
Rabbi
time.
Shmuley?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
like
it's
that.
not
It's
Shmuley.
not Shmuley?
Shmuley's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah, I don't like that guy. He's crazy.
He's so fake.
Yeah, he is.
He's like the Jordan Peterson of Jews.
So it's not true. So the sheet thing is not. There's no truth to it.
So Stu,
I don't know. I don't.
there's not. No, there's not.
I believe
It's
there's
a myth.
not.
Just like if you have a tattoo, you can't be buried.
Yeah, of course
it's all
not.
bullshit.
Yeah, the tattoo Jews can have tattoos.
Of course.
All right.
So it's just a myth.
The
Are
Jews
Jews-
tattoos thing started after World War II
Mm-hmm.
when.
When they had the-
So that was like
that's
tattoos
right.
were like that's when. So it was just
Okay,
a
that actually
reaction.
makes
sense.
Before
That makes
then,
sense, yeah.
like in countries where they had tattoos, they wore tattoos.
Right.
Right.
So Stu, going back to your, your TikTok, your blow up on TikTok, you get a account deleted, you keep going back. What is it you think about you that you keep going viral and people keep having these
I have no
sensations?
idea.
You have no idea.
Now I'm thinking, like people, like the things people tell me that I think are absolutely ridiculous is my hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
for
it's
somebody 64 years old, they have like a lot of hair and it's
Yeah.
long, but that's not it.
You know what I think it is, Stu? From my perspective, and I don't know you that well, but I think it's number one, you're authentic. Most people your age are more like conservative. They're not expressing their opinions. They're not,
They're not
real.
thinking.
They're not-
I honestly think that they're forebrains. That if you did MRIs on
Yeah.
people my age,
Yeah.
or even people 20 years younger than me, this part of the brain, the forebrain's not functioning.
So you were just lucky, or what happened with yours?
No, I mean, I just want to keep living
Yeah.
and experiencing stuff. And if you value, like, one, I'm very careful with, or not very careful, but I've learned about food through experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my diet's really healthy.
Okay.
I give a lot of credit to of recovery to hallucinogens, like
Okay.
mushrooms,
Yeah.
DMT. And if you look at DMT, you've all used massive amounts and tripped.
What do you mean?
When you're a fetus, your pineal gland is making massive amounts of DMT.
Right here, right?
And they've killed rats to prove it's true. They've never, like, it's difficult to prove it's true on humans,
Yeah.
especially fetuses. You're not going to abort someone and
Of
do
course.
an MRI.
Sure.
But MRI,
DMT.
DMT causes massive amounts of neurogenesis, right? And if you look at kids as they're like going like they're tripping,
Yeah.
right?
So you're saying you credit that to what?
And I think DMT and hallucinogens have a lot to do with rejuvenation of my body because I'm
Wow.
doing what's natural. And
Incredible. And is that like a one-time thing or every so often?
I haven't done it in years,
Mhm.
just because it's not
You don't
that
need to,
expensive.
yeah.
It's over $100,
Right, right.
And it probably I don't know, probably it can't be a one-time thing because you did it as an
course.
infant and it's not lasting.
Mhm.
But I think it's sort of the master hormone because it's in or master chemical communicator of some sort because it's in every cell of every living plant and mammal on the planet.
Mhm.
So it's pretty significant. Like what else is in, every
What have you tried? Have you tried everything? Have you tried a little bit of the crackaroo?
I smoked Coke a couple times. I found it disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I've done Coke a couple times. Like I
Mhm.
don't need stimulants,
Mhm.
right? Like I find them real. Like
Is
I
there
actually
something
spoke to
you
a
wish you would have
doctor.
tried? Is there something you maybe you might have liked to have tried that you
I've
had
pretty well
never
tried
done?
everything. I think.
Yeah, you tried K? Special K, yeah.
I
okay.
just did some K last weekend.
Okay.
I find K like a baby hallucinogen.
Yeah.
Really?
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't.
Okay.
And I've done so much DMT and shrooms. Like I was somewhere on the weekend and people had like bags of shrooms.
Mm.
So each little chocolate square had a gram. And I said, okay, I'll do 5. And I'm like barely buzzed. People are like
Really?
falling down because,
Because your tolerance is high.
but they say for hallucinogens, you don't have
You don't
tolerance.
have tolerance. Oh, okay.
So,
Interesting.
or it's very short lived, but I think, I don't know, maybe I should do an MRI.
So you never liked crack?
No, never
No.
liked stimulants
No.
Really?
anytime. Like I've
Okay.
tried them and like I once tried meth because I was delivering something.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
flipping a key. I said,
Yeah.
I've never done this shit. What's it like? I thought like, why the fuck would anybody
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it? Like to me, stimulants feel like I've drank too much coffee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the only feeling. Like I get no
No enjoyment. of it.
euphoria, nothing.
I got you.
Like that.
Really?
I don't
Interesting.
understand it.
So
That's
Stu,
interesting.
you've done a lot of things in your life clearly. What's next for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. What is
I
next
want
for
to
you, Stu?
share my experiences.
And how do we plan on doing that? What's the action plan?
Well,
here?
I'm doing a couple movies.
Okay.
Okay.
I've done a few like small scenes and
Right,
stuff,
right.
but people have just reached out to me from Instagram and stuff.
Mhm.
And so now I'm doing a series or a reality show that's being shot in July called "Who Wants to Smash an Icon?"
Okay.
And we're having all these women come here and,
Okay.
and they're going to say why they should be the one who gets to smash me.
That's a very good idea for your show.
And
Looking
I've
forward to
got like some really, really good people participating. And the people I've met in Toronto who do films and stuff have like the type of equipment available to them. They don't own it, like
Mhm.
$100,000 cameras and stuff because they're in the industry and they can borrow them for a weekend
Right.
or for a week or when they're. And so it's going to be filmed at a quality that could be sold that is Netflix
Netflix
quality.
worthy, yeah.
And I'm sure someone will pick it up or like
No.
it's such a like, how could it not work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Stu.
Yeah.
And we're doing a biography as well with
Excellent.
Nice.
and I don't want to ruin the ending. I'll tell you the ending at the end afterwards, like after
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
off,
Yeah.
or if you keep it for after it's released because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just insane.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely, man.
Thank
It
you
was
so
great
much.
having you, Stu.
We talked about a lot, and yeah, we're looking forward to what's coming next.
Yeah, and yeah, if you want, I'd be glad. And one thing I'm also trying to do, and maybe you can help with it. I want to start a podcast called The Guest, and then people like you come in and ask me anything about anything.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, because you're very open.
So instead of being the host, I'm a permanent guest.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
very good.
That's cool.
Good idea, man.
And
Absolutely,
where do
man.
you put your stuff on? YouTube?
So far, YouTube, TikTok. Most viral it's gone is on TikTok, posting some clips here and there. But yeah, YouTube, TikTok.
That's
What
me
about
and Lucas.
Instagram?
We have an Instagram. Yeah,
Because for some reason, my Instagram is just like, Instagram's totally different than TikTok.
yeah, completely.
Yeah.
As soon as it was December, I started getting big numbers on Instagram. From never getting more than 100 views,
Yeah.
I got up to, and I went from 5,000 in December 1st to like 91,000 now.
Oh wow.
Followers.
And
okay.
and my thing's like shut down and like I'm like suspended,
Yeah.
shadow ban. Like,
Doesn't matter. You keep coming back no matter what.
yeah, and at least Instagram tells you you're shadow banned.
hmm
But now this time they didn't. Like you always get a notice saying you're shadow banned for this video, and the rules. As TikTok tells you nothing. So now it says I'm not shadow banned, but if I look at my numbers, and if you look on any of the studies or advice about Instagram, it says if you're under 2%, you're not going to sell anything. 2% engagement
hmm
is either you're garbage or you've bought your followers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you get close to 5%, you're considered a good account. 2 to 5, you're like a good account, nothing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At 5%, you're considered like really good. Over 5 or close to 10, you're considered like a superstar account.
Mhm.
So I'm getting 10 to 15% engagement, but the algorithm isn't pushing me.
Interesting.
So it should. When your engagement is high, it should
Mhm.
go up.
It should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something I've done is piss
Yeah,
people
I'm
off.
sure
And
you'll
I
figure
think
it
it was, what was I talking about? I was talking about exposing people in Toronto.
Yeah.
And
That's what you were saying at the beginning of the pod. Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't like to hear the truth.
oh, and
Stu.
I've got so much on so many people. I just have to decide how to lay it out.
Yeah.
And it's really strange. It almost looks like a conspiracy because did you see the stuff with the neighbor?
Your neighbor?
Yeah, my neighbor.
No, I didn't.
Okay. I start doing the TikToks and stuff. And he's like, oh, cool. Because he was like one of the people who was sort of like friendly in the neighborhood.
Mm.
Because my neighbor was Bayview Hills in Richmond Hill.
Okay.
So 90% Chinese.
Mhm.
The occasional,
Is that baby on 16th?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
the occasional white guy married to someone Chinese.
yeah.
Maybe the occasional Persian.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think maybe one or two in the few block radius. And so when I start doing this, one guy's sort of really positive, and then he sort of over COVID, he sort of goes crazy. I thought, like, what's his problem? Because he was sort of one of the guys. He was in East African or whatever,
Mhm.
so he's
Yeah.
sort of friendly, brown. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not black, but brown.
Yeah.
And he was married to
East Indian. East Indian.
in East India, but no, from Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
So like what part of like what
Like
do you mean?
Somalia,
No, no.
Ethiopia.
No, but he moved like originally from India. I think.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
because all over Africa, there's all Indians who
Yeah, yeah.
moved there. But
Yeah, that's crazy, yeah.
And I didn't know because shit's going on. I guess people during COVID, like, God, things accelerated.
Mhm.
Interracial? What are we talking here?
He was in an interracial marriage, but like,
Okay.
well, an Indian, a Hindu to a Muslim.
Mhm.
Okay.
Plus, his family is fairly, not extremist, but pretty close.
Yeah.
Like very orthodox, I guess. Is
Yeah.
what you call it. Right? Like absolutely halal, no alcohol, no.
Yeah. Right.
And he married a Hindu, which was pretty well
The opposite.
the opposite. So
Yeah.
they sort of worked that out and
Mhm.
came to, they had kids, so it's sort of accepted. But then during COVID, but he was like a severe alcoholic.
Mhm.
So that he actually looked pregnant from like, if you drink too much, your liver.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like 10 years younger than me, but just like falling apart. I didn't know. I knew he drank, an
Yeah.
awful lot. But then over COVID, he came out, and I didn't know this. And then
Came out what, as gay?
as gay. So he's a gay alcoholic Muslim.
With a big belly, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, his family would his
Disown him.
family and business associates would completely disown him if they knew he drank.
Mhm.
Was this the guy with the gut?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
guy with the gut. Yeah.
So,
So-
he came out and then
Yeah, and so all of a sudden I'm doing the dancing. And I'm just dancing in front of my house and stuff. So one day I didn't realize it was daily savings time.
Yeah.
It changed. So it's like 8 a.m, but it's a Sunday, so it was 9 or
Yeah.
7, like
Yeah,
it's early.
yeah.
And he's hungover. And he comes out, he's swinging at me. I'm going, what the fuck? And
Oh,
I'm laughing at him because he's so drunk he can't even even though it's the morning, he's swinging.
Yeah.
I'm going, come on, bitch. It's like, because I think, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So somebody calls the cops because he's swinging at me, and the cops come there. I go, get the fuck off. I don't. What happened? I said, fuck off. I don't talk to police. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like I have no use for you guys.
Right.
Nothing
Yeah.
personal. I don't know you, but
Yeah.
as a group, I just don't deal with.
I got
Yeah, I agree with you on that
True
one.
story.
man,
And
yeah.
so he says, "Oh, this," and so he's the head of neighborhood watch and friends with all these guys. So he starts calling and having me arrested every time I'm dancing. And so 16 times they take me to the fucking psych ward. And finally, the last time I'm there, the doctor's saying, "Listen, we're not letting him through the door. He's been here 16 times. He has no psychological psychiatric condition.
Yeah.
If you want to charge him," and they're going, "But we can't. He's not breaking the law."
Yeah.
And they go, whoa, 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 and they're arguing about what to do. And the
Yeah.
doctor's saying, you're wasting resources. Get out of here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so then they start charging me criminally with causing a disturbance,
Yeah.
not allowing him to have the quiet enjoyment of his wife,
Mm.
of his house. But he's calling directly to the cops.
Yeah.
And this is the gay guy who came
Yeah.
out, who was a closeted gay with the big gut, and he was a Muslim, and he had the business associate.
And then one time,
who
how
could
do I know
never
he's gay? He says, "You're just doing this because I'm gay." I said, "I didn't know you're gay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "Yes, you did. That's why you're doing this." So I
Yeah.
All right, well, Stu, it was great having you
Okay,
on,
great
man.
having you.
Yeah, it was
Thank you so
absolutely
much.
great.